Alrighty. And coaches, we'll go ahead and we'll get started within the next minute or so. I want to give enough time for all y'all guys to fill in, and then I'll go ahead and I'll let Coach Patterson get into it. Alrighty. I'll go ahead and I'll get us started and introduce you, coaches. Welcome to our Glazier Live Drive event. With us today, we're excited. We got Coach Milton Patterson with us. He's the D-line coach and the run game coordinator at Florida A&M. For his first session, he's going to be speaking on everyday D-line drills for success. And then in his second session, he'll be discussing D-line angles of attack. If you see down in the bottom, you should see a little Q&A box. And there you can go ahead and type your answers in, or any of your questions, and then I'll go ahead and I'll relay those to Coach so we can get those answered. We'll go ahead and I'll let you get started, Coach.
All right. Coaches, I appreciate you. Glazier Clinics, I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Kind of want to take a different approach on everyday drills for success. More so the structure of how we set up drills here at Florida A&M. We've had the opportunity to be pretty successful in the last 2 seasons that I've been here. One producing, again, All-American FCS Buck Buchanan Award winner in Isaiah Land, and then developing talents like Kamara Stevens, Gentle Hunt, different guys that you'll be able to see throughout this presentation. So more so on this everyday drills for success.
My father was a carpenter. He would take me to work with him. And in the summertime, it was really hot, and I'd be out there with him, and he'd be building these houses. And the part that I hated most about this was when we had to put in the foundation. It was painstaking, digging these holes. Then you had to tie the steel, and after all that work was done, you just poured concrete over it. And here's the thing, nobody ever saw it. All that work was done, and nobody ever saw it. No one ever cared about the foundation. The only time you hear someone talk about the foundation is when a house is falling apart. But when the foundation is done right, nobody mentions it. And when it's done right, it can carry the weight of anything that it was designed to hold. What you were building had to be strong enough to support the weight of whatever you could dream.
And that's what we do here. That's our foundation. And when we talk about our drills, like nobody gets to see the work we put in over the summertime. Nobody actually gets to see all the blood, sweat, and tears that we put on. They just see Saturday. All right. But when you lay a good foundation, like you said, it can bear whatever the weight that comes on, whatever adversity it may face on Saturday. So we pride ourselves in building our foundation. And part of our foundation is having our 6 basics, right? These are what we deem to be successful on a day in, day out, right? Every snap opportunity to be successful within a play. We call these our 6 basics, and it's keep my gap side arm and leg free, just making sure we're a gap sound defense, right? Keep a Z in my knee, which is an athletic position, right? Making sure I have proper leverage in all situations, whether that's tackling, block shedding, or just full out running, all right? Keep my pads over my toes. Again, it's about leverage, right? It's about leverage. Athletic position allows me to have power behind my strike and allows me to strike with velocity. And then we want to stay square to the line of scrimmage as long as possible. We believe, right, that is the best ability to react. All right, react with suddenness. All right, velocity again. All right, powers comes from being square. And then we cross face when necessary. All right, when the ball declares opposite, once we've taken care of our gap side arm and leg being free. All right, once the ball declares, we're able to cross face, right, and pursue that ball. And then always drive for 5. We want to motor our feet on contact. All right, so whether I'm taking on a block, whether I'm making a tackle, my feet have to stay active. Those are one of my weapons. My eyes, my hands, and my feet are my weapons in order making sure I'm equipped for whatever adversities I may face. So that's our foundation. So when we talk about drilling for success, we don't want to confuse motion and progress, right? A rocking horse keeps moving, but it doesn't make any progress. We don't want that treadmill mindset. We actually want the drills that we apply be applicable to the game, right? So question we have to ask ourselves, do your drills address the adversities that you face, right? And those adversities, I'm not always talking about the talent, although that is adversity, right? You may have a guy that's only limited in short yardage, right? Does he mean he's dead to the program? No, he may be excellent in 4th and 1, right, or 3rd and inches, right? But also your resources. You may not have the sled. How can you be innovative in how you approach your drills and getting things done? Then scheme, and then football IQ, right? One of our goals as coaches, right, is to develop that football IQ and get guys to elevated thinking as it relates to football. So do your drills address the adversities that you face? Then another video, I'm a guy that believes in videos, man, to get guys hyped up. We're talking about the sight game right here and what it means to be all in at practice for one of the greats.
Well, I mean, here's why practice was important to me. Not from just the standpoint that I enjoyed playing. Like, I enjoyed being there. I enjoyed getting better. But as a leader of a team, it's also your responsibility to elevate the rest of the guys. And what people tend to get stuck on a lot is saying, okay, the way to make players better is to pass them the ball when they're open. That's a very trivial way to look at things. What you have to do is you have to get them emotionally to want to be better. You have to get them to an emotional space where they wake up every morning driven to be the best version of themselves, right? And how do you do that? Right? And in practice, for me, it was a chance to drive them, to challenge them, right? And this is where you have to know your teammates, because if it's late, we just had a back-to-back and we had practice the next day and you show up and guys don't feel like going through the motions, don't feel like practicing, it's important to know each and every one of them individually, personally, because then you know what nerve to touch. Some guys, it's like, okay, come on, we can do this. That'll get them going. Other guys, no. You got to figure out what button to push. Powell was always Spain. If I tell them how they lost in a gold medal to us and how they're going to lose again, how I'm going to beat your ass in practice just like I beat you in a gold medal game, he would hate that.
Again, goes back to that quote by Eddie Robinson, right? Just finding ways to let your guys know you love them, being invested in their life, right? But also knowing that practice is an opportunity. It is an opportunity for us to get better, right? It's an opportunity for us to increase our football knowledge, right? One of those adversities you may face, right? But also instill, right? It also instills the work ethic that you want to set for your core, for your unit, right? It also instills, right, the attitude, the intensity, and then the discipline, right? So finding out how you can get your guys prepared well before the opportunity, which is game day for us, right? Locked in at practice. So everybody wants to get paid, right? So we came up with this acronym, right? Everybody wants to get paid, especially living in this NIL world, right? But we want to get paid the right way, right? So our paid acronym, right? P is for preparation. We want to be prepared in meetings, weights, class, all that. And we want to be on time, right? Our attitude has to be positive, focused, and intentional, right? And our intensity has to be uncommon. Something you can cut on the film and say, hey, these guys are playing with that super on top of their natural, right? These guys are doing more than what's asked of them, all right? More than what's asked of them. All right, then we want to be relentless and we want to be feared, right? For 70 or 50 snaps, however snaps there are a game, you want to impose your will on that guy to let him know that, hey, I'm here to stay, right? And I'm here to make a message or make a statement today, and you just happen to be the one that has to get it. And that, again, starts in your drills and starts in practice. And then our D, right, is discipline, right? Discipline to be focused on your knowledge, discipline to know the direction, not to get pulled or swayed, right? To be steadfast in how you're working, right? Drills can become monotonous, but consistency is monotonous. So stay disciplined in your direction, right? And then persistent, have a passion, persistence when you're talking about achieving your dreams, right? Or achieving these drills in a successful manner. Another one of our foundations is having relentless pursuit to the ball. That is that uncommon what we talked about, right? So 100% effort to the ball on every play, all right? We want to swarm ball carriers, and then there's one ball on that field. We want to make sure we try to get 11 hats to that at every opportunity, right? I hate when guys say, hey, they gave it they all. Hey, everybody's supposed to, right? When you're talking about the 11 on that field or the 22 on that field, all gave something, right? But some gave all. We want to be the some that gave all. All right, then the essence of a good defense, of any team defense, right, is tackling. You have to be efficient at tackling. One of my favorite pictures right here, I try to duplicate this everywhere that I've been blessed to have the opportunity to coach. How many guys can swarm the ball carrier, make him feel defeated every time he touches that ball because there's 11 hats swarming and adding anytime I touch this ball. The essence of great defense, right, is tackling. All right. And then our last one, we want to make sure we create as many takeaways as possible. Defensive players can score, right? We don't just have to fall on the fumble. We have the opportunity, right, to be the winning edge, right? So the winning edge for us is, again, that team swarm, gang tackling. We want to play the ball. And when we create those opportunities, we want to scoop and score. We don't want offense to be the only one responsible, right, or obligated to put points on the board. We can do the same thing, right? So facts about this creating more takeaways, right? Not turnovers. We taking it. We're being authoritative with it. All right. So we want to create 3 or more takeaways a game. It gives us an 81% chance of victory, right? 3 out of 4 fumbles are caused by effort strip attempts, right? So that means guys are intentional about how they get to the ball. And then when we arrive to the ball, how we try to take it out, right? 1 out of 3 fumbles are calls on the second man on the tackle. So when I'm coming in, it's not solely just to get the guy down, right? That's extreme importance. But once we secure the tackle, now it's an opportunity to get on that ball. Then half of all fumbles occur out the pocket, right? We want containers to contain, right? But if that guy gets out the pocket, he's in unfamiliar territory. All right, so still talking about the drill setup, right? Our teaching progression, you will see it at least 7 times, right? Installs, right? On paper. Video clip after seeing it on paper. You're going to see it at practice and a walkthrough. We call them jog throughs now, right? At a jog through, teaching in your individual period, right? Specific drills at practice, team specific practice, 11-on-11 team periods, right? That's of extreme importance, making sure your ones are servicing your ones with intentions, right? With specific intentions towards your goal, right? If it's 3rd and short, that's what we're working on. That's what we're focusing on. That's what those guys will give us. And then post-practice, another opportunity I feel is undervalued or underrated, right, is the opportunity to watch film after practice. And I don't mean even if it's the day before, you can still 10 to 15 minutes with that guy, right, and just reinstill and just instilling those same principles about what it is that you want to see in your drills, where you could improve that on this play, right? Take advantage of every opportunity that you're fortunate to be with your players. So this is how we install, right? Just again, seeing it 7 times. You got the picture of the play diagram up top, the gap responsibilities, right? Then you also have the visual, right? The guys who's those visual learners who need to see it when I'm lined up in front of live action. Everybody wants to get the rep, right? But being a visual rep, sometimes seeing that live picture frame or that still shot, right, allows those guys to visualize what he has and when he's supposed to get there. Then, of course, you never assume, right, that anybody knows what the A gap, B gap, C gap is, right? We're going to provide every opportunity. Then we'll discuss what we're actually trying to attack, right? We're attacking the bubble side. And then what is that move called? We call it an edge stunt, right, which is just a B gap cancellation, right, to the shade 5 side. And then we play that different with variety, right? If he gives us a block 2, which we consider a base block, right, we'll cross face. If he blocks away from us, which is a down block for us, right, we're going to come right off his butt, which we call a chase technique, right? And we're closing heel line to heel line, and which spilling anything that rocks back on us. Our teaching principles, again, everything continues to complement one another, right? Limitation. As if the menu is limited, I think guys have the opportunity to know, like Raising Cane's has 4 items on the menu, right? You don't hold up the drive-through at Raising Cane's, bro. You got 1 of the 4 things you're going to get, right? If you want an extra piece of toast, you ask for that, right? But you're not going to spend a lot of time in the drive-through when you're talking about ordering at a Raising Cane. Same thing with the menu, right? With your drill menu or your play calling, right? Limitation, right? Avoids confusion, right? Simplification clearly identifies the achievement, right? What we're trying to achieve in our objective. And then repetition. You can't get enough of doing these things consistently over and over, right? Consistency sometimes is monotonous. It does not have to be a negative term, right? We want clear understanding and permanent retention of our teaching, right? Drilling for success. Again, don't confuse motion and progress. Make sure your drills have a direct correlation to your core unit and their values, right? If toughness, if grit, if effort, uncommon effort is what your core values, that needs to be exemplified inside of your drill work, right? We want to address the adversities of game scenarios and situations, right? I not to knock anyone, right? I don't believe there's bags on the field, right? So if you're spending 1,000 times or 1,000 hours on stepping over bags, all right, not to say it's wrong, I just don't think it correlates consistently, right? There are some situations where you use them, hell, we use them, right? But you don't want to spend a lot of time in things that are not going to actually manifest themselves on the field, right? So one, you need to be intentional, right? And make sure that the drills are meaningful and measurable, right? So when you cut on film, if you're seeing the double team and breaking down components of a run scheme or pass protection, right? Make sure that the drill that you're working is going to be meaningful, right? Making sure that the players can understand it and why we're doing it. And it's also measurable, right? Measurable meaning if we're working this, is it crossing over or carrying over to field of play? Excuse me. And do we need to consistently rep this drill until we get a solid understanding? And then we want to major in the minors. Again, you've heard me, consistency can be tedious. It can seem tedious, right? But you need to make sure that you're doing these things. Hand placement is of extreme importance when you're talking about play 60 of a game, right? So that's why we work it so much. That's why it's redundant. And then don't walk by your standard, right? We're human, right? We have days where, hey, I might let that slide, right? Or players, hey, today's not the day I feel like doing it. My girlfriend didn't text me back. Whatever the situation may be, don't walk by your standard, because if you walk by your standard early on, you'll have a hard time trying to address it later down the road, right? So don't walk by your standard. If you see something, say something, and you need to make sure that you correct it right then and there with clear and concise communication. All right, scripting for success. We want to keep the main thing, right? This is our teacher progression as well, right? We want whole, part, and whole. We want to make sure we progress properly to the final product, all right? The number one goal of our drills is to elevate, right, the mind, elevate the player, right, and then elevate the production, right? If you're just doing drills and the production is not matching, you need to go back to the drawing board. We need to do a scouting report on ourselves, right? What can I do to implement for my players? One, to get it. One, to elevate their mind, to get them thinking, that IQ part. And then one, how can I take a guy like Isaiah Land, who had 2 sacks in 2019? How can I elevate him to get 19 sacks and lead the nation, right? What is it going to take for me to elevate that player, right? And then never get in a frenzy, stick to the script. And that means if I get 5 minutes of drill work, I'm not going to cause a fuss. I'm not going to get a frenzy, one, because that correlates back to your players, right? But also it doesn't allow me to be precise with my time. If I have 5 minutes, it's going to be the best 5 minutes, right, that I have of that individual period. And it's going to be on point. It's going to address the major issues that we need to face. Even if it's just one thing, stick to the script, right? And even if you sometimes miss a segment of drills, hey, that next day, don't advance, right, until you cover the thing that you said you needed to work on that was of extreme importance. Right. So how we break those down is in our foundation. What's our foundations? What we call our everyday drills, right? That's our eyes, our hips, our hands, and our feet, right? That we're one gap attack, react defense. We're penetrating, so we're getting off the rock, right? And then secondly, how do we address the situations? What are the situations of the day? Is it team pass? Is it inside run? Is it third down? I had a coach tell me one time, we're facing a triple option team, and I'm working pass rush. Who looks like this genius now? All right, my guys are working chop, dip, grip, double swipe. We're doing all those good things. And this was early in my career. And he brought me down and said, man, we'll probably see 4 passes a game. Right. So I've wasted 2 days of pass rush on a team that it doesn't apply to what we'll see Saturday. All right. So then scheme. Are we facing option, air raid? And then is it short yards? What is going to be our package for that down? All right. So we want to make sure we script for success. So just a way that we look at practice, right? Pre-practice is always the opportunity to take advantage of starting the mind or starting the engine for the day. We always start the day with our CMT, right? Create more takeaways. We want to affect the game in some way, shape, or form, whether that's tipping the football, whether that's scooping the football, whether that's recovering the football for the opportunity for the offense to score again. All right, and then our foundational drills. Right, that's our everyday drills, fast feet, right? And I challenge guys to give their drills names, right, that sticks with the kids. So they now understand when I say this drill, we need to already be in formation, ready to work. So guys we can be efficient even if I have a small amount of time. Hey, we're doing fast feet today. These guys already know, set up these drills, right? Or have the drills already set, and these guys can transition faster. And now you're being more precise or more efficient with your time, right? And then situationally, this is an in-season situation, or actually it could be practice, right? So the example I have is we're facing Grambling State University, right? And their primary run is 11 personnel is their personnel, and their primary run is split zone. Out of 10 is inside zone, right? So that'll be the key drills or the focus that we're focusing on, and then talking about our option responsibilities, all right? And then our last one, we'll put in pass emphasis, right? And then we'll work our concepts out of that. All right, so we want to make sure everything is on point. And if I skip one, or if I miss one, or time gets blown short, what inclement weather, whatever it may be, right? This will be the same script we'll run the next day, all right? Or wherever we picked off, fell off at, or stopped at, that'll be what we'll pick up on the next day. So how we work, I can't stress this enough, right? You must be a great teammate, right? Be a good teammate. Give a realistic look. There's no better opportunity to emulate or imitate the opposing offense as a scout team player or a rep player in that situation. You want to give him the best look possible so that these drills make sense, right? So if you're lethargic off the line, he's not going to get that tempo. He's not going to get that realistic look. So we want to be a great teammate anytime we're at practice. And that means even as a coach, right? Demonstrate with enthusiasm, demonstrate with positive energy, with precise footwork. You want it done a certain way, you need to be able to show that. All right. So we work first guy one at a time. First guy goes through, he gets the instruction. The next guy in line is already ready to work. I mean, as soon as I'm done with that first guy, the next guy is ready to go. All right. Second time through, everybody goes. You need to correct your mistake. There's an extreme ownership these guys have to take, right? Because if I have 6 guys or 12 guys, there's 3 guys who went before you. You should not be doing the same thing, especially if I'm providing feedback for those guys, right? And then progression, we work 2-point to on the move, right, to 3-point, and then we call it read it. We call it key drill, right? But read it, right? What is the blocking scheme that we're getting, right? What is the concept that we're getting? And then you need to be responsible, take some accountability, fix your problems as well. Right. What you want to start to get is guys being in tune and engaged. Hey, coach, after practice, I know we were doing this and I did this. I'll correct it next time. Or how do I approach this if I get this? When you start to get that feedback from your guys, I mean, one, IQ's increasing, right? Also, you're starting to tap into that cerebral part of the game for these guys, and they can now start to speak that language, right? That football language, so you can address problems quicker on the sideline during game, right? Or quicker when you're coaching on the fly, right? So fix your problems, take some accountability and extreme ownership. And again, I challenge everyone to have a drill menu, right? Our defensive GA, I'll say, hey, we're going to be two base movements, right? 2 base drills, 2 movement drills, right? And then a release drill. I'll just give them the name. We're going shrug, tar stunt, BGO, fast hands, right? They'll get input into our script, and we'll just be efficient, right? We're talking about making sure that we are following the script no matter the allotted amount of time, right? And then I always, for myself, I think it's great to have tips and reminders on your drill menu and also your practice script, right? Be coachable, right? That's for me as well. These guys are the ones that's playing against the live bullets, right? They may give you some feedback that you may not have thought, right? There may be some situations of the game that happen, or at practice or in a segment that happen, right? And you can't be so prideful to say, hey, that actually may be a good adjustment to what you're seeing, right? Remind yourself to be attentive to details, right? Engage the mind, the body will respond, right? If you get guys intrigued, right, the body will respond, right? Then you have to be the best teammate. Again, these are things that are instilled when we talk about in our core values of the unit, right? And then finish the drill. All right, then I'll make sure these are small notes that I keep for myself, right? Evans has a class at 4:00, making sure that these guys are still being able to be student athletes as well, right? Not just they're just caught up in all 20 periods of practice or 25 periods of practice. Hey, this guy's got to get out of here at a certain amount of time. So that'll be reminded to myself on the script. So our eyes, we want to make sure we see the strike. We want to see what we're hitting, right? These are your most valuable weapon, making sure we can check the departure of our offensive lineman, right? Then our hands is our next weapon. We control blocks at the bicep and sternum, right? With thumbs up at 12 o'clock. That ensures that my elbows are locked, right? Don't have the possibility to bend, right? And we want to control our, dictate daylight in our gap by controlling them at these two anchor points. Here's just a great example, right, of just thumbs out, straight up at 12 o'clock, elbows fully extended, excuse me. Eyes behind my hands so I can see, playing with separation, right, and hips are poked for leverage. Just a great example, great picture, all right, of what we want to see when we're talking about block destruction. Another weapon for us is our hips, right? We are hips, hands, feet. That we come out of our hips first, right? So power is generated from your hips. Right, we want to explode our hips towards the departure of the offensive lineman, right? We leave nothing behind. We want to make sure we have a strong base. And then we want to execute a violent release. Again, we go eyes, see it, hips, power, hands, control, feet is reaction, right? So we want to make sure we disengage the blocker when the ball carrier has committed. Then we want to understand how we escape. Play side is a rip, arm over. Backside, we want to squeeze, snatch, and pull through. Then our run philosophy, again, echoing it again, eyes, hips, hands, feet. We win all battles by penetration. Penetration reduces the angles of the linebackers and secondary, all right? Dictate daylight in your gap, establish great anchor points. So we have our progression for us. We have our alignment keys, whether our backs to us or away from us, but we want to make sure, number one, we control our primary. So we want to attack the angle of the departure of the offensive lineman, right? And then we want to deliver a violent blow with our hands and then create a violent release, right? So we see blocks in two forms. We call it a base block, which we communicate as block 2. Now we understand there are variants to that, right? But we see block 2 as a base block, reach block, right? We control those and we play those with speed, right? We want to play that on high speed. We want to set edges, get penetration, right, and create knockback and create new run lanes, not run lanes, right? We want to create different levels for the runner, different levels for the runner to have to stop his feet, change direction, and allow us to pursue the ball. So when we talk about our block 2 concept, we want to play that with speed and we want to punch that. We want to punch it at the bicep and sternum. We want to press that threat vertical with speed, create knockback and a new line of scrimmage. And then we want to dictate daylight in our gap, right? And then once ball declares, we determine where we fall, right? Whether it be cross face, right? Or it's a play side rip and secure that tackle. And then the last variant before we get to some film, right, is our block away, our down block. Again, we understand it's different variants, right? Cut off, right? A scoop, a back block, right? Well, we understand that, but we play those with power, right? We say crush it. Right, so block 2s, we punch it, all right, and block aways, right, we crush it. We want to crush that with power. We understand that we're chasing the bicep and the sternum, but understanding we may hit, right, hip, low hip, right, and shoulder, right. We want to crush those and making sure we stay and flatten that guy out, right. We want to restrict that ability for that offensive lineman to climb, right, or step and scan to the next level, right. So I get into some film, give you opportunity to see, put some illustration to the words. You know, if we can affect the quarterback in different ways, we want to make sure we're getting our hands an opportunity to get on the ball. So we match the arm. We used to say rob the pitch, right? It's just another opportunity to get our hands on the ball at every opportunity, right? So you'll see the guys here, boom, soon as we see the quarterback's arm, we want to make sure we're matching and mirroring that arm, right? So near arm, play side through, boom, we're trying to affect the throw. Right? If that guy doesn't have an opportunity to get a pass off, right, then we have another opportunity to snap it again and play again, right? Sometimes it can come through in the form of a punch, right? You got the end over here in the boundaries. If we see ball, we want to punch through, right, and create another opportunity for that ball to try and come out and get us an opportunity to score. in as many ways as possible as we can, right? You get guys here into the field, beat the block, try and get as much as we can on the ball to try to affect it. Guys, if we can get an opportunity to punch this ball, touch this ball, right, we want to do that in any way, shape, or form as possible while we play our responsibility on the way to the quarterback. There's opportunities. We said offense is not the only one obligated to score, right? They shouldn't have that big burden on them by itself. If we get the opportunity to score, right, we want to do that as well. Right, so we have what we call our knuckle drill. So we want to be an infielder when we're talking about the opportunity to scoop and score the ball. All right, this opportunity for a strip attempt. Strip, we get the ball in open field. This is a city fumble, right? Or a country fumble. Nobody's around. We got the opportunity to scoop it. We want to scoop it, knuckles to the ground, right? And we don't want just the obligation for the offense to score. We have that opportunity to put it in the chicken box as well. And then if we get an opportunity, what we call a city fumble, it's 1,000 people around, right? We don't want to secure that ball inside of a large crowd. We want to secure it. All right. We want the opportunity to give the opportunity to the offense to score again. If it's a crowd, we want to secure it. Now we got opportunity, balls on the 5. Right. Tips, right? If we're going to match the arm of the quarterback, we also want to be able to secure it on the opportunity that ball's in there. Tips and overthrows, give me those, right? Affect the ball, respond and react. Right, so we talked about it earlier. Our hand placement goes bicep and sternum. We'll make sure we're controlling blocks. This way we dictate daylight in the gap, right? And we do it with straight nail extension. So all you see these guys fire their hands, bicep, sternum, we call this straight nail drill. Right. All we're trying to do is make sure that everything that we say we want to accomplish in a play, right, we want to get it done in our drills. Right. So we're building our way to block destruction. Right. So hand placement there. Now we talk about our peak drill where we want to put our eyes once we've controlled the block. So we'll peek left and we'll go around from 1 gap to 2 gap, peek, control daylight in your gap, peek, violent eyes. Bicep sternum is the hand placement. You'll see the shade right here. He controls the bicep sternum. We don't want to run upfield. That's a block to him. I want eyes in my gap. Once I see the ball declares, we'll shed it. All right, so you'll see it again. Once I've controlled the block, I've got my eyes in my gap. Boom, great picture right there. Freeze. He's controlling it. He's peeking. Right, ball declares, shed it. Get in on the tackle. We want to take it from drill to team period to actual game, right? So the shade player, again, try to use the same guy. Bicep sternum on the placement. Ball declares, we shed it. We get opportunity to get the ball carrier down. Three technique, he's peeking. Eyes in his gap. The ball hasn't declared. What do? You shed it. We get in on the tackle. Right, we could do the same and run and pass, right? If my rush lane gets closed, he has eyes in it, right? This 3 technique here. Now, it's going to get closed if I keep running it. Violent shed is the release, right? Find a way to affect the quarterback. All right, 3rd down, we get off the field. All right, so this is how we control it again. We got our hand placement. We've got our eyes where they need to be. And now we want to put it into full form. We go hips, hands, and feet, right? Block 2. We lead with our hands first. Control the bicep and sternum. Once he hinges in his gap, you see this offensive lineman's butts in the gap. We want to release our gap side hand, which is his right hand, right? We want to release it and compress that gap. So squeeze him back The gaps close with three things, right? It's either going to close with his body, your body, or some dang body, right? But somebody needs to be in that gap to close that responsibility. So we'll see it from drill. Let's take that drill successfully onto the next period, which is pods for us, right? Hand placement. We adjust to the departure of the offensive lineman. Control the bicep, violent release, right? So now we get block twos and we're talking about our movement family, right? We say cross face, right? So this is our stunt world for us, right? So now we get a block two and we want to work that trick stunt like I showed you in the install earlier. We cross face on block twos. And all we're going to do is build different ways to get the drill done. So we'll go from shoot, we'll go from bag, right? We'll go from cone, whatever it may be, right? You'll see the shade technique used in Pass Pro. Cross face, go secure the tackle. Use the bag. We exchange gaps in a lateral step, right? Or L-shaped step, right? L, lateral. Next step should be a sprinter's motion. Keep my shoulder square to redirect. You got the end over here to the field. Cross face on the block two. Go get you some. Three technique. Cross face, lateral, we exchange gaps in L. Next step's a sprinter's motion, right? Can't get the sack, go get arms in hand, vision, right? Go match the arm of the quarterback. We can affect the throwing lane and create opportunities. As many opportunities as we can create, right? We want to do that. But these drills need to be able to show up on tape. And I'll pause it right here. I think a great component to add to your drills, right? Guys get, they see themselves every day. One thing you can add to the drill tape, right, or add to your drills, I should say, is NFL players doing it at a high level. They want to also see, Coach, why are we doing this, right? And you live in a generation of why. Guys want to know why are we doing what we're doing, right? So I think a great way to get some validity outside of just the production and the performance, right, is to see the NFL guys doing it as well. Right, so provide them as many, if you have the opportunity or access to NFL film, to try and tag it as well so these guys can see the full picture. You get a cross face again right here from the three technique. Cross face, rip and get vertical, stay square, go secure your tackle. So now guys are, oh, I see why we're doing it, right? I see why we're getting things done or why we're able to do it that way. We'll skip over this drill right here. We want to keep it more in family, right? So we call it ball declare, right? We want to make sure we secure this gap as long as possible, right? Before we jump out of a gap. That's just one of our things we do, right? Make sure before you jump in somebody else's real estate, right? You make sure you control yours, right? So I told you before, how we control our block twos is punch it with speed. Our blocker waves, we crush it with power. All right. So if we get a down block, that guy want to stay square. We know we're chasing the bicep and the sternum, but we're probably going to hit shoulder, right, and low hip. So this guy's doing a great job of doing the drill, staying square as long as possible, right? Eyes and vision in the backfield. As inviting as it may be to get upfield, right? We want to work the heel line, because we want to go to where the ball is going, not to where it was. Again, we're chasing that guy. And typically when we work this, we're same size the running back. Front side block two, we'll play high speed, right? If we're same size the running back, possibly being a read guy, we'll go low speed, right? And it can still be tempo based off the departure of the offensive lineman. crush, good hand placement, shoulders stay square, eyes and looking, using your weapons ready to redirect wherever that ball carrier may go. Shoulder low hip, crush, good job. All right, let's see it in live action. We got the end over here to the left, right, on number 72. That guy goes down. We want to mirror that step, right? Match his track. We want to crush him to make sure there's no more air in the gap. There's no more vertical seams that you can go through if I take care of it by crushing you down with power. So good hand placement, shoulder low hip, crush it, get big in your gap, make a play on the tackle. Now we like to see our feet get ran right there. All right, you got the shade player right here. He's same size the back. He knows he's possibly going to get a block away. All right, so we want to crush him down, take care of the front side vertical seam. Once you've done that, right, I can now get back vertical and square in the gap, and again, affect the play. Along with our movement, what we do in block 2, we'll do the same in block away, right? On our block away concepts, all right, if we're not smart, a low speed player, we can go chase technique, meaning if that guy goes down, we're responsible for the vertical run, right? So we want to make sure the drill looks exactly like the game, right? So that guy's giving us a great look. That's a GA. He understands as well. Hey, we got to give a great look. We're ripping and running. That's what they showed on film. Turn and run, right? We want to turn and run as well. So you'll see the end over here in the boundary. He said, he just told him, I'm on a chase call. If they go down, I'm taking this heel line. And again, just relentless, uncommon effort when we talk about running to the ball. You got the end to the left, 0. He's a low speed player, but he's on a chase call. So if he goes down, he's taking care of the vertical run. Now, these guys do a great job front side, right? But you understand that we apply this drill in practice, it's because it's doing the same thing in the game. Just like here, Von Miller, that guy goes down, he becomes a chase player. Right? We want to be, I was taught this a long time ago. It's okay to be a copycat, right? Just make sure you copy the right cat. All right, so we want to copy, it's fine to be a copycat. Just make sure it fits what you're trying to get done. All right, so as we talk about our double team work, right, more gap scheme here. We still want to go primary, right? We're facing a big power counter team right here. So we want to control our primary, knock back, survive a double, be able to stick shed, right? Stick shed off that low hip bump. It's a tough thing, guys, we can deal with the shoulder bumps, but when these guys bump those hips, you got to have a strong base, what we spoke about earlier, right, to be able to survive these low hip bumps right here. So we want to give it to them as good as possible. We'll work to crease it, right? That's a later component of how we look. Boom, we bump it, crease it, right? Rip to get back vertical. Stick shed, you see that foot stick, all right? So how do we get to that point, right? How do we get to it? We want to segment this thing, bicep, sternum, and still the hand placement. And we're working pull slide for us where we want to work to get our primary on a different level and crease in between those two guys once we get control of it. And we'll do different components. We want to start working, keep your hands on, right? We're segmenting this thing, hands on, hands off, release the front side hand. You'll see the shade player right here do the same thing, right? We're working a double team. We knew it was coming. Bicep, sternum, hand placement, shed it, fall off and get the tackle, right? Are the drills being measured? Are they measurable? Are they going to address the issues that you're going to face in the game, right? We like to think so, right? Good hand placement on this guy. Release the hand, front side hand, violent. Crease, go get the tackle. Big dog again. Talked about the adversities you may face. This guy was a great short yard guy for us. Wouldn't do well on 3rd and long, right? But now, do I give them the death sentence and say, hey, man, you don't fit what we do here, right? No, you fit what we do in certain situations. There's always going to be a third and short, right, scenario, a goal line scenario. We hope not to have often many of those, right, if you're playing great ball, right? But there are scenarios in the game where this guy's skill set is going to be great and it needs to be utilized, right? So he's our third down, he's third and short, fourth and short, right? Anything where it can get bloody and muddy, he's the guy for it. Great, crease it, get back big, get in on the tackle. And he thrived on that. He knew when it was his time to get in, somebody's getting creased. There he goes right there, getting the job done in segment work. So we also work what we call a front side ricochet, right? Well, now I may be getting that bump, right? A bump combo from the front side player, right? Before he climbs to the backer. How do we prepare for that, right? Bump it, still rip and fight the backside pressure. You're going to see this in the game. We need to work it, right? Here it goes from the shade. We know he's going to give us the bump. We need to ricochet that thing, right? And be able to pop up in the gap. Now, this is what we do this before. I saw this preparing for the team, right? All right, it's also just one of our drills that we work, right? But we know, all right, how that can cause us difficulty based on how we play, right? That causes some adversities for us, right? So how do we prepare for it? We work this all week going into this game. So now when it happens, and it may be one time it happens, God, this is 3rd and 1. We're fighting for our life right here. We're fighting for our life right here. We had to do it. So it may not happen in play 1 of the game. It may be play 69, right? But you want to make sure you've equipped your guys to understand, hey, no matter when it happens, it may happen, right? It's going to happen. You need to know how to properly utilize your skill set, your toolbox, in order to be successful. And it may be crunch time. It may just be a regular down and distance, right? But you need to understand it. Shade player right here does a great job. Don't really like his feet. Right? Don't really like his feet, but he does a great job creasing it, surviving it, knowing it's coming. He just got to run his feet right here to meet him in that A gap, right? But he does a decent enough job, right, to make it to the eyes of you and me, right? Get the 3 technique Ed Oliver over here. He does it. Front side bump, survives it. Difference is you see him run his feet, right? You see him run his feet off that combo. And again, guys, it's more. If these guys understand it, once you drill it, once they watch it on the game film, if they see an NFL guy do it, right? If they see an NFL guy do it, I don't know what it is. It's like, and now it turns them on like I could do it too. All right, hey, and I'm in the business of copying the right cat. So let's make sure we get it on film for them. And then our squeeze drill, we talk low speed, right? We call it surf. We are a true spill team, right? And this is probably what we doing in this drill is we're making sure our eyes are appropriate. We say 2 shuffles, right? Never go past the outside knee of the quarterback. So he wants to get, I'm working footwork right here. 1, 2 shuffles. His eyes need to go down the heel line. We're a thumb up team, right? We want to, if we get a pick and hinge guy, he wants to go down and then turn back. That thumb is up. So if he does, that hand now turns into power. It becomes a long arm for us, right? But we're working it, and we're working in different variants, right? Squeeze, stay square as long as possible. Know who you have to collect on the scheme. So right now, 0 to the left right here is a low speed player, same size to back. Possibility for a rock back. Squeeze, boom. We want to squeeze and spill. That thing should look identical to how it was on a drill, right? In a game of play, right? There goes that thumb up, right? Arms extended, vertical, he's square, hugging that heel line, go secure your tackle. Now this guy's he's wrong as ever in terms of his alignment, right? But he understands he has to now close the space between him and that tackle. He gets back to square. Now, am I gonna rip them out, guys? No. You effectively got your job done. I've seen the football IQ that, hey, this guy's losing ground between me. I'm creating a vertical seam. If I don't close that space, I need to get there. Right? You got the end over here to the left in the 6 technique. And that guy goes down, squeeze, stay square, go collect it. Right? Provide evidence of success for these guys. We'll go squeeze and spill, right? Same drill, just a different component, right? 2 shuffles, eyes should snap down the heel line. Your eyes are your weapon, so you know what you have to face. They see the rock back as the bag. We spill, rip, and get vertical. And guys, what I do for the ends is what I do for the tackles. You say, why? Right? We know the ends are going to get the zone schemes, right? The zone reads. The same thing can happen when you talk about these RPO offenses or just some of these innovative offensive coordinators where they want to now we can lock the end and read the 3 technique because he's a lesser athlete, right? Or the shade because he's a lesser athlete, or the trap or a wham play. They still need to understand a down block, get my eyes to the nearest threat, be able to be ready to spill that threat if possible, right? Not if possible, is of high priority that you get it spilled. So we'll do it in a tight scheme concept, right? He's tight, he's down. That's that quick wham block or that trap block, right? Prepare your guys for the adversities they'll face. Your primary tried to slip you, right? Or he went down, tried to trap you, down, tight trap. We want to spill and get vertical, right? In over here to the left, right? The little shaded view for you, right? He's got to close that green. He's going to spill it, get vertical, go secure that tackle. Now, sometimes, right? Sometimes there would be some adversities that change that. To the left, the end and the boundary is a high-speed player. He's thinking he has to set the edge, right? Because he's away from the running back, right? But now that changes there in a gap scheme world, right? So he sees that his eyes now have to read the heel line because his tackle did not come block too. He went down. You'll see him adjust his departure. He recognized rock back, spill, get vertical, go collect it, right? If you instill in these guys a solid foundation, goes right back to the foundation, right, of what your eyes should be looking at, right? What your feet and your hands should be working towards, right? These guys are intelligent. These guys are molded, are able to be molded, especially if you speak a language that they understand, right? Or you get them to speak the language they understand, they can understand, right? You'll get some good production out of guys. And also limitation, simplification, and repetition. Again, why not show them a guy doing it on Sunday? All right. And then a situation for us, right? We were facing a team, South Carolina State just ran for 250 yards, right, on the University of South Carolina, right? And they all had adversities, a hurricane going on, right? But we don't want to be another 250 to their belt, right, or to their notch, or to their board, right? So we need to work this specific situation that was causing such a conflict for the University of South Carolina, right? So we want to implement the veer, right, the inverted veer, where that guy's going flat, the eye candy tells you to chase the running back going across your face, right? Make the drill specific to what you possibly may see. They ran that play against South Carolina multiple times for, of course, 250, right? They ran it 2 times against us for a total of 40 yards, right? So of total yards rushing. So you want to eliminate the things that could, or work on the things that could possibly cause you, again, adversity or problems. You should still see the same drills work that you worked before. Primary goes down, watch his eyes. He goes down the heel line. He snaps them back to the mesh point. Doesn't worry about the eye candy. Worry about who you're responsible for. You're responsible for the vertical run. You see the end over here to the field to your right, right? He sees the eye candy go across his face. That's not my job, bro. I got you. And then we go slap hands, right? We go celebrate. And I'll finish. I think I should be reaching that point, right, of violent releases, right? Once you've dictated daylight in your gap, once you've gotten great hand placement, right? Once you've controlled this blocker, when you recognize block to a block away, you have to be able to shed it, right? We work this drill every day, right? Whether it be shrug release, right? In which, again, I can use a lot of terms for these guys that sound like the smarter guy in the room. We call shrug release, throw right, step left, throw left, step right. Do I want to be right or do I want to be efficient? Now, my goal is to be efficient, right? So if I got to lessen the language, right, in order for my guys to get it and grasp the concept, you put the lesser language out there until they're able to grasp it, and then you pair it with the universal terms. Everybody in America can call it that, right? So, or stick shed or shrug, whatever it may be. You put it in a language that your guys can grasp, and once they grasp it in the drill work, they can start to grasp it in the team periods. They can start to grasp it in the game. And to me, that's how you develop a foundation of intelligence, right? That football IQ we're speaking on. So right now we're working arm over release. Primary gap is to your left. We want a peak left, arm over release right. Peak, control it, violent chop, finishing a ready. All right, peak, arm over the release, finishing a ready. You see the end over here in the boundaries. He recognized block two, punch it, press it, throw it by, right? Throw right, step left. Go secure your tackle, right? This guy may have, again, another situational guy, right? We get a heavy personnel, 12 personnel. You're great on this. You're great for that. How can I utilize you in this specific situation, right? Block to you, knock it back, long arm, right? Throw right, step block, left. Secure your tackle. Guys, I've reached a final point, and I unless I have more time, right, about what we do in our everyday drills for success. I think it's vital, and when we talk about building that foundation, right, that guys understand that you can't get it done alone. A lot of guys have helped me in order to get to where I am in this field, and I think it's of extreme importance for me to extend that same network or that same olive branch out to guys. So my Twitter is located on here, as well as my email address. And if any guys want to connect further past that, I'll be proud or love the opportunity to discuss it over the phone or a Zoom conversation like the one we're on right now. But I think it's been a great opportunity. If you have any questions, guys, I would love to hear from you. And we can go from there.
Coach, thank you again for presenting. We really appreciate you. Looks like you do have 2 questions after that presentation. It looks like a coach asked if there's any way to have a copy of this PowerPoint.
If there's any, yeah, you can reach out to me. I have I'm fine with sharing it. I don't care. You can definitely reach out to me and I'll get a copy over to you.
And then it looks like the second question is, Coach, I've been a high school coach for 17 years, mostly on the defensive side. This is a year I am taking a shot at defensive line coach. I am assisting a young staff and helping out a very green defensive coordinator. Would you mind sharing your PDF? I could use some assistance with the D-line. If you would not mind, I appreciate you doing this webinar. So it looks like about the same.
Absolutely. Again, I can pull that Twitter back up or that email back up and I'll get it to you. I think one of the greatest lessons I could say I've learned. We're all going to be young at some point, right? Whether it be an age, right, or whether it be in the profession. I think one thing we can't ever forget is the ultimate goal of assisting, right? So green is great, right? Green means go, right? So there's so many opportunities when you talk about new to create your own thing. We don't do a lot of things by the book here at Florida A&M, and I love it in the sense that it allows us to create. All right, so yes, I don't mind sharing that at all. But I think when you get in a situation where things are new, coaches are new, working with a new position is new, you find your own identity within the coaching realm, right? Or that position. There's things I've heard from Pete Jenkins. There's things I've heard from Rod Marinelli, right? There's things I've heard for Coach Travis Smith at the Bears, all right, or my high school coach, Coach Benny Crane, right? I've taken a collective of all those things, and whether it was at the linebacker position, the defensive end position, or the coordinator or assistant coach position, you take a collective of those things and you identify what you have in your room and you apply those to those guys. So have my PowerPoint or my PDF, whatever I send to you, all right, some of it may be able to be applied to your guys, some may not. And I challenge you, once you go to review it for yourself and you review what you have in your room and how you and your coordinator mesh, right, that you do the same thing and build your own library of what works for you and what doesn't work. So again, I said it earlier, it's good to be a copycat. Just make sure you're copying the right cat.
Awesome. We really do appreciate you, Coach. And then again, coaches, this Zoom was recorded and it will be posted on our Glazier Drive by the end of this week or next week. So that way you can come back to this, pause it, and look through this as much as you need.